Good evening, and welcome. My name is Tony Brewer, and along with Joan Hawkins and Kyle Quass, I'm a co-producer of this spoken word series right here at Backspace Gallery, co-sponsored by the Writers Guild of Bloomington. We're sponsored in part by the Indiana Arts Commission, the Bloomington Arts Commission, and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association. So far, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about funding and grants and whatnot, and ways that you can help this struggling 501c3 not-for-profit, that is the Writers Guild of Bloomington. The Writers Guild of Bloomington wishes to acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities native to this region and recognize that Indiana University and the city of Bloomington is built on indigenous homelands and resources. We recognize the Miami, Delaware, Potawatomi, and Shawnee people as past, present, and future caretakers of this land. I had a couple of announcements to get to before our features this evening. By the way, our features this evening, Brian Price, who's been a regular at our open mics, he's featured here a couple of times too. He's a fantastic writer. He's going to do a performance piece, The Last Coyote, along with musical accompaniment by Kyle Quass and Julian Douglas. First up, before that, we're going to have Mindi Romani doing some puppetry. She was here last week doing an adult puppet show, I think is how I would call it, an adult puppet show. And of course, we'll have our open mic afterward. Excuse me. Third Sunday Write is a virtual space where you can find writing prompts in the company of other writers. It is a private Facebook group where you can respond to prompts posted monthly. You may then write and post at any time during the month and offer a response by sharing a line from their piece in the comments. For more information to join the group, contact Shauna Ritter at shauna747@gmail.com. Kyle Quass is very busy this month. He's busy all summer. He's doing a series of residencies, solo and duet improvisation performances at now various venues around town. I'm just going to name a couple of them, if that's okay. You can go to, Kyle will let you know, I'm sure, about all the others as they come up, but they're every Friday.
Mostly.
Monthly?
Mostly.
They're mostly on Friday, but they're at various venues around town. The next one is tomorrow, Friday, June 13th at 7 o'clock at the Pillar Arts Alliance Center. For now, no, it's still there. It's at the College Mall in their current location across from Hot Topic, which is that's how I locate it now. Pretty soon it's going to be in the old Victoria's Secret, which is how they describe where it is. I think it's fantastic. Like, mind your bras, while you're there. Anyway, Kyle Quass Creative Residency, solo and duet improvisations. The next one is tomorrow, Friday, June 13th at 7 p.m. with Dina El Safar. And then next Friday on the 20th, June 20th, again with Dina El Safar at Redbud Books at 408 West Kirkwood. And then the week after that, June 27th with Norbert Herber, and that's also at Redbud Books. So that gets you through June for the residencies. But you're doing it until August.
Correct.
Is that right?
August.
Yeah, fantastic. Next, I wanted to be sure you know about this big show. This is going to be huge. Our good friends, Philip Greenleaf and spoken word artist Claudia Larocco. Philip is a fantastic improv saxophone player. They go by Animals and Giraffes. You may have seen them before. They've come through several times. They've become like friends of us. They love Bloomington. They love coming through here. They're playing Saturday, June 14th, right here at Backspace Gallery. I have that at 6. Is that right? Is it 6 or 7? I just realized I may not have the right time. But anyway,
The booster says 7.
is it 7? Okay, at 7 sounds better. 7 sounds right. So 7 o'clock Saturday, June 14th, along with Kyle Quass, the very busy Kyle Quass, and Orted. You'll see the cult T-shirts around tonight. So limited edition. Suggested donation $10, but no one turned away for lack of funds, and that is a co-sponsorship with the Writers Guild, Urban Deer Performance Series, and IU Research, which I think is how they got here this time. And then a couple more things I wanted to mention. The next film and music experimental film with improvised score that's happening Saturday, June 21st at 7, again, right here at Backspace Gallery. That is an ongoing series that a bunch of us have been working on producing here at Backspace Gallery with combining live music and film of various varieties and various formats. This one coming up on Saturday, June 21st here at Backspace is featuring Outlaws, Seth Andrew Davis and Ian O'Neill. And they're musicians. They will be generating a live film that night. So we don't know what the film's going to be because they're going to make it that night, which is pretty cool. Also feature the ever industrious Kyle Quass, Chris Rawl, and the City Underground. Also playing on that.
Anybody else from Mortel?
What's that?
Anybody else from Mortel?
To be determined. Most likely. And then lastly, I want to mention the last Sunday poetry reading and open mic, which is, I have the date wrong, but it's Sunday, it's June 29th, thank you. Sunday, June 29th at 7 at Morgenstern Books over there on Auto Mall Road. And that is featuring 2 poets from Columbus, Ohio, Zach Hanna and Sue Flatt. That's going to be a fantastic show. Open mic to follow. And then right here next month, Thursday, July 10th, the next spoken word series right here at Backspace, featuring poets Justin Ham from Missouri and Jen Moore from Ohio, with local music by singer-songwriter Matt Lindquist. And that's also going to be a hot show. Looking forward to that one. All this is available, all this info will be on our website, or like us or follow us on any of your favorite flavored social media programs, whatever. So without further ado, let's get to the program this evening. First up, Kyle and Julian are going to open things up for us and play a little bit. Kyle Quass and Julian Douglas have been collaborating for 20 years. Across this time, they have performed in many different ensembles, co-led several bands, and worked on multiple recording projects. In the process, they have formed their own unique shared language blending progressive jazz and contemporary world music. Releases on which they've collaborated include Kyle Quass's Fractured and Julian Douglas's Talafawa. Did I get that? It looked like that's how it is. So please welcome Kyle Quass and Julian Douglas. Next up, I want to welcome Mindi Romani, is a traveling puppeteer. In addition to operating the Rendezvous Theater Company out of her tiny hatchback, she publishes zines without a computer as the proprietress of Petite Souris Publishing. Her long-term goals include how to skin a squirrel, learn how to skin a squirrel, start a radio station, Bloomington can probably help you with both of those things, and to cross the Atlantic on a ship. Please welcome Mindi Romani.
Thank you all. We have a couple minutes of technical things ahead. That music was fabulous. I never know if I'm allowed to dance or not. Am I allowed to
Yes,
dance?
you're always allowed to
The
dance.
chairs throw me off sometimes. Hello, Bloomington. Hi. My name is Kitty Rudd. Sorry, I'm a bit tangled. We were driving all day to get here. One day I'll have a fancy band like that. But today I have an acapella song for you. A poem. Maybe one more song. This song goes out to my friend Bill. He's about 70 years old, and he has me half convinced that if I work real hard, it'll pay off one day. But I'm telling you, the math is saying otherwise. I broke my legs, pulling myself up by my bootstraps. My little brother died of a fentanyl overdose. My mama found a boo on the kitchen floor. Credit scores weren't invented when you were my age. And before I was old, as you are now, 80% of the world live in extreme water scarcity. I broke my legs, put myself up by my bootstraps. My daddy's in prison and my uncle's in prison. They both get out. He's gonna kill him and my aunt told me not to tell anyone. She said, you need a glass of wine. I said, no, I need a whole bottle. That's what I'm drinking anymore. I broke my leg, put myself up my bootstraps. I haven't seen a dentist in 15 years. I can't get a library card, even though I got a passport. And oh, the faggots I know don't drink no Bud Light. I broke my legs, put myself up my bootstraps. I gave birth to a 10-pound baby. I was halfway through nursing school when the pandemic shut the whole world down. I worked at a restaurant and I worked at a grocery store, and I realized that I'm a fucking chump. Mitch McConnell killed the Heroes Act and my dreams of home ownership. So I surrendered the will of my life to a God I barely believe in. And I need cab fare to the hop-out spot because I broke my legs, put myself up by my bootstraps. I do want to just say, tiny trigger warning here. No vulgarity, I hope. My gender is stretch marks. My gender is, how did you get that scar? My gender is, I'm the only person in the world with a clitoris. My gender is curling iron birds because I bought the hairdresser. My gender is everyone lying to my face. My gender is pedaling away as fast as I can. My gender is men I have sex with saying, oh, you're not gonna wash your hair? My gender is, it's easier not to start explaining. My gender is, I have a secret life from my boyfriend. My gender is, I hate the way he and him and he talk about women's bodies. My gender is anorexia and bulimia and body modification. My gender is face in the corner, beat red in the locker room. My gender is, my personality is 0% nice boobs and 0% having a cock. My gender is, you're gonna die a virgin if you dress like that. My gender is people being shot over and over again, shocked by how smart I am. And when their shock wears off, they recoil from me. My gender is, no one ever told me I could go to college. My gender is learning against my nature to attack preemptively. My gender is being told I can't breastfeed. My gender is breastfeeding and having titties like I ain't never seen in no fucking movie. My gender is a bikini made for Pamela Anderson, neon yellow, turning my whole pale body yellow in the sun on a boat. And my auntie telling me, I'll leave you money in my will for a boob job. My gender is, can I just have that money now? My gender is, I want a stable enough life for some hot plants and a milk cow. My gender is the inherited trauma of hand-me-down spanks. My gender is punk rock enough to want to wear them as a bathing suit. My gender knows what your daddy did to you. Stop! My gender is being unable to function when our entire society is living on the spoils of war. My gender is be an American. My gender is that I have nowhere to go. My gender is wanderer. My gender is clown. My gender is feeling filthy rich for getting out of bed of a morning. My gender is getting taken advantage of for giving people the benefit of the doubt. My gender is finally achieving the 5th stage of grief and accepting the fact that loving my enemy is a fucking waste of time in the face of water scarcity. I like to think my gender doesn't matter to you. More importantly, I like to think my haircut doesn't matter to my gender. At the intersection I occupy, I'll never be straight enough. I'll never be gay enough, even though I'm always in drag. I'll always have white privilege, except where I grew up. There is a small army of men there who want my ability to express my gender or anything else to be silenced. One of these soldiers put his boot on my back while I was in handcuffs. 3 others stood and watched and laughed and ignored me as my ribs were crushed and I screamed into the kitchen tile of my first studio apartment. I can't breathe! My gender is no one came to defend my cause. My gender is poetic justice. My gender is I had the audacity to give birth even though I had no husband. My gender is here to tell you my baby was no bastard. My gender is resentful of ACAB because the word bastard is counter-revolutionary. My gender wonders how that shit ever caught on. My gender thinks critically. My gender knows that no child is illegitimate. My gender believes in the power of those who give birth. My gender wishes you would read more books. My gender is I got this scar because all cops are incompetent. Thank you. I have one more song for y'all. Thank you for your patience with my little dog here. He has been in the car all day. It's my debut summer single. Well, you say I drove pipeline 'cause your truck don't run on unicorn pets. Well, if you're so smart, then tell me this. Can I put unicorn pets in a baby bottle and shake it up? 'Cause your grandchildren are gonna be so fucking thirsty. I wanna be your neighbor, but you're making it really hard for me. And I'm fucking thirsty. And I got a bone to pick, and you forgot what's sacred. And all you care about is money. And you're poisoning everything with your spiritual bankruptcy. And I'm fucking thirsty. And we only got one day to figure this out before we both succumb to dehydrated delirium. So will you get with it or not? And your guns won't save you from the hellfire tsunami of honeybees Mother Earth will wash you away with. And maybe in 2050 we'll collect the tears of your great-grandchildren and pour one out in your memory. 'Cause no one figured out how to drink money, but they figured out 1,000 engines that don't run on oil long before. You were ever pro-pipeline 'cause your truck don't run on unicorn piss. Well, if you're so smart, then tell me this. Can I put unicorn piss in a baby bottle and shake it up? 'Cause your great-grandchildren are gonna be so fucking thirsty. Thank you, Bloomington. Thank you so much.
Mindi Romani, folks. In the system enjoy. Fantastic. Thanks for coming back. Good to see you again. All right. Next we'll have Brian Price and Julian and Kyle joining him. Writer, director, and audio producer Brian Price has worked in radio and audio publishing since the 1980s with groups such as the Iowa Radio Project, the Grist Mill Horror Series, Native Voices at the Autry, and the National Audio Theater Festivals. His short comic skits, plays, and monologues have been performed by community groups across the country, and 2 of his plays have been translated into Croatian and Chinese. He is a founding partner in Great Northern Audio Theater, which created and produced 20 years of live mark-time radio shows for Minnesota's Convergence Science Fiction Convention. Their feature-length In the Embers received an APA Audie Award for Best Audio Drama in 2017. He has published 2 books, The Old Cart Wrangler, The New Silence, and Other Notions in 2020, and The Wrong Side of the River and Other Points of Interest in 2022. He is a member in good standing of the Electroacoustical Poetical Society. Please welcome Brian Price and welcome back Kyle Quass Julian Douglas.
As a matter of fact, this piece was first produced for the Electroacoustical Poetical Society. I do want to say that I had to audition hundreds and hundreds of trumpet players and hundreds of percussionists, and I only found 2 that had ever seen the coyote. And you're right here. So, we'll start off that way, Julian. coyote, the last coyote, crosses a field, you'll want to follow. I know you would. You'll want to give that coyote advice. Because, well, we all know that if the coyote goes, we're probably next. You'll say, take care of yourself, coyote. Don't hang out in puddles. Don't hang out behind gas stations. Don't smoke them just because you got them. And watch your weight, coyote. And watch what you eat. Get some rest, coyote. The coyote cuts through some dead shrubs behind the deliveries only door of a franchise restaurant. He checks the dumpsters, and then he checks his own online profile. A bag of loose French fries blows and floats over a drainage ditch. The coyote follows. If you were the coyote, the last coyote, would you continue to pay your dues? Would you take time to renew your subscriptions? Would you use QR codes? Would you refill all those fresh little prescriptions? Would you, if you were the coyote, would you click accept and say, yeah, sure, let's be friends? Do you remember when Wilmington was at the bottom of the sea? Do you remember when shag carpeting covered the earth? Do you remember when ping pong balls sent us all to war? Which one of these statements is not true? Please use your signaling devices. But maybe it's the desert that's looking for us. The coyote leisurely crosses the highway. We all know where the highway goes, but we don't discuss it. The coyote cuts into a Quick Mart looking for a Fresca. They don't carry Fresca anymore. hate the way that always happens. I hate the way late afternoon always happens. We follow the coyote across a vacant lot, sidestepping the deeper potholes. We slide through the side door of an empty box store, head out on the other end, and we follow a curve until it turns to gray weeds. We try to keep up. The coyote leads us out to the places where things spill, and where things will continue to spill. Takes us to see what's left of the second to the last coyote, who's half buried in the dry ruts along the edge of an emergency lane just before exit 137. The second to the last coyote looks a lot like the matted damp doormat in front of my ex's apartment, I say. Mine too, the coyote says and shrugs. Message for you. They're thinking about coming out with a new coyote. Welcome to the next generation coyote. The fresh coyote. The 2.20 coyote. Fast, sleek, classic lines. Welcome to the fun, the rugged, the inspirational. From mountain roads to bustling city streets, touchscreen display, collision avoidance assist, alloy professional powertrain, torque resistance compatibility. Welcome to creativity. Welcome to connectivity. Fully loaded, fully aware, fully electric. Yes, the next coyote will be all electric, just like your toaster. Pre-order your new coyote today. Applicable tariffs and taxes payable upon delivery. Offer voided where prohibited by law. says he's got a few things he's got to take care of. And to meet him at the playground behind the vacant motor lodge at dawn. The Coyote has stopped maintaining his website. A bag of limp French fries blows over a drainage ditch. The Coyote follows. Follow me. The Coyote follows. Follow the French fries. Now the Coyote, the last Coyote, shows up at Joni's door late that night. He knocks and scratches and she lets him in. Joni says, "Sorry about the mess, I wasn't expecting company." She offers him a fresco. They make love at the edge of the desert. They make love all night long. The dry sand gives off a little latent heat. Joni lays her head on the Coyote's fuzzy, skinny belly. She reaches out and she smiles. She's so sweet on his anvil and his fistful of dynamite. The Coyote does not show up at the playground. The swings squeak in the dry breeze, and the metal slide is cold to the touch. Two handsome men stand in the middle of the dry, dry desert. They face each other. They reach out and they hold hands. Finally, a place where we can both be Juliet, they say, and look up at the big blue desert sky. between the highway, the exit ramp, and the overpass. What is that? It's not a field. It's not a pasture. It's not a loading zone. It's a clover leaf. People live there. They sleep in grassy places. They crawl through the culverts. They dine on what falls off the backs of trucks. They know the coyote. He sometimes stops by with exotic trade goods, obsidian, flint, and Legos. Obsidian, flint, and Legos. For Twinkies in Fresca. Obsidian, flint, Legos. The rains will come. Each drop will be warm. No, not more than warm. Each drop will be hot, stinging. The rains will sting. We'll find the coyote slumped, half sitting at the base of a butte. A short butte, but a butte. I'd like to live on top of a butte. And I'll tell the coyote, wouldn't that be cool to live on the top of a butte? We'll all grab our anvils and drag them up to the top of our own buttes. We'll all live up there. It is possible the buttes will be on Mars. We noticed something. You're burning up, coyote. You're like a match. You're turning into ash, coyote. We don't want you to turn into ash. We don't want you to go, coyote. If you go, we might be next. And we know, Coyote, you can take it. We can all take it. We can all take everything that's coming at us. 95, 96, 100 degrees.
'We're gonna take a short break now. We're gonna take a quick intermission. Feel free to have some snacks. I will have a QR code so that you can donate to this wonderfully deserving not-for-profit, the Writers Guild of Bloomington, help support us any way you can. And then come back for the open mic. If you haven't signed up, the open mic sheet is up here in front. Come back in about 10 minutes. Thanks. Yes, toss that to the side there. Don't want to slip on it. Hazards of the trade, I guess. Towel can spit. I was thinking about, what's the laundry situation in the Quass household?
He does his own damn
Is there a separate,
job.
is there a separate hamper for those things?
Oh,
Or like,
hell yeah.
it's a nerve. You know, you touching the towel.
Angela liked it just fine.
Oh, my God. All right, so how the open mic typically works, how this is going to work is I'm going to introduce the first person. I'm going to leave the list. Throw this here. We'll leave the. You want to get more?
I just got one last little.
Oh, sure. Unless you have something to read, or something to show.
I do not.
Okay. So we'll introduce the first person. I'll leave the list up here. Please introduce the next person on your way out. First up, Molly Gleason.
This is all the times I've lived up to the woman driver stereotype. Back when I lived in Boston in my 20s, I was checking out at a garden center when a nice overworked worker offered to help me load the plants into my car. He asked, "What kind of car do you drive?" "Buick," I said. When we reached it, he paused and with some amount of disgust proclaimed, "That's not a Buick, that's an Oldsmobile." I held my tongue, but honestly, what the fuck is the difference? There was that time I was home from college and I agreed to pick up macaroons and baguette from Rudy's Bakery. Rudy's Bakery and the Dow restaurant used to be where Willie's Bar and Grill used to be, and now is whatever it is. Housing, maybe? I'm not sure. My brother Tom, then only 14 or 15, came along for the ride, for which I'm sure he rused the day. We drove off in our old Toyota Corona without air conditioning on a scorching Indiana afternoon. This was also the summer I was convinced deodorant was the cause of Alzheimer's, so I wasn't wearing any. It did stink. Starting at age 9, I grew up in Bloomington, but that didn't mean I knew how to get anywhere, and apparently that included Rudy's Bakery. It soon became obvious I was lost. Back then, it didn't take very long to end up in the Hoosier hinterlands, and the hinterlands was where I ended up. I swore a creative blue streak as my long-suffering brother sat mute next to me. That was wise of him. I had no idea how many miles I drove out of the way because that would involve understanding the dashboard. At some point, an epiphany, I turned around. As if by magic, I steered us back into Bloomington and even found Rudy's Bakery. Probably by way of First Street, since that is my fail-safe way of knowing where the fuck I am. Although I'm starting to find Rogers helpful. Also Walnut, which even I know runs north-south. Anytime I need to know cardinal directions, I think of Walnut Street. Back in high school, I drove an old Volkswagen Rabbit, the color of vomit. I learned how to drive on that car, and that's why I'm able to drive a stick. Anyone who drives a stick is appealingly butch, if you ask me. Some things, however, do work on a Rabbit, like the defroster. One early January morning, I was on the way to South with only a few inches of visibility at the bottom of the windshield. I was so careful not to careen into any cars coming toward me. One of the few pieces of advice my mother ever gave me was, if you have to hit someone or something, hit something. I've always taken these words to heart, and I did that day too, not crashing into anyone, but instead smacking the rear right tire hard against the curb. I knew something was horribly wrong, but I made it up to the top of the hill on Henderson. Then the entire frame of the car collapsed over the engine. What to do? Crying, I walked the few blocks to school, leaving the wreck of the car behind, and called my dad on the payphone. Of course, he took care of it, talking to the policeman, who pointed out the car title said, Volvo station wagon, not Volkswagen Rabbit. Silently, my dad realized he had actually sold the Rabbit to the house painter several years before, and not the Volvo station wagon. Must be a mistake, the policeman said. An early example of white privilege, but the Volkswagen was totaled anyway, and that house painter was probably still driving the Volvo. And if you know anything about Volvos, he's still driving that Volvo. Not well, but he's driving. Turns out it was a design flaw in the Rabbit and could have happened at speed. Phew. Another example of a car event not being my fault. Yet for all this, I don't think I'm as bad as my younger sister Kate, who, when asked by a car mechanic for the make and model, replied, blue.
Tavares.
Tavares?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Paola Tavares. I would love to share a couple of poems from my upcoming chapbook. Date to be released will be announced someday. This first poem is called Girl Math. He asked, aren't a girl and a woman just made up of the same stuff? Shake hands and heads. A major difference does explain this vast gap. Subtraction of a girl's shadow from a woman's footprint shows what remains is a blurred reflection to admire, to play with. Divide into a woman, the quotient is a birth, a babied neurosis multiplied by X number of placed upon fantasies and expectations. Multiply the feminine by the annual average of the full moons, of the full wounds occurring in any given year. The product is calculated in variables, in unattainable aesthetics, in violence, in menstrual blood. Thank you. This poem is called Run. I have been ruled by and have lived in a world of men for far too long. I can't breathe here. They think me pretty, so they make me stay. I dig a tunnel through the wall, a covert mole, a worm in the garden soil. The air is sweeter to breathe underground. The tunnel is so thin, I'd never fit, but my daughter will. I have obfuscated her from them so far, I think. I whisper to her everything I know, a training, the magic of pennyroyal and cinnamon bark, the keeping of the wind to the back, the stamina of persistence, the will, the fight, how to shape her fists, the poison of the oleander's petals, the stories of great queens, how to engineer safety, how to disguise the scent of prey from her clothes, how to wait, how to dig herself out. We keep the tunnel covered. We read the parables of the escapes. I let her watch me write poetry. I let her watch me go mad. I prepare for her escape, for I must stay. We will make for the breach right before I've grown ugly. I do not know where that tunnel leads. Right before the men are done with me, I bid her leave. Thank you. Eric Rensberger.
So I was in a nostalgia mood or something today, so I'm going to be reading two fairly brief poems from a chapbook that came out in 1984. And so before I do that, I would just like a show of hands. How many people in this room were born after 1984? All right. This is new news to you. And the other thematic thing about it, both of them, there's a few things in that collection that were what I call manipulated found poems. So what I'm going to read is actually, depending on your point of view, evidence of a crime, because what I do is I take a text and then chop it up and use resonant words and phrases and reassemble them to something that I think is different in my own, but is actually truly stolen from somebody else. So I think I can get away with it, but I just want you to know, fair warning. The first one I'm going to read is called Herbal, and it comes from one of those Dover reprints, a thing called, a 2-volume set called A Modern Herbal that came out about a century ago by Mrs. M. Grieve. And so I did the procedure of flipping through the book. She gives the names of the plant, the common names of the plant, the Latin name, and then goes into some detail in describing it, describing its uses, its toxic effects, if any, and all that. So I just grabbed a bunch from a number of different entries and reassembled them into sort of a platonic ideal of a plant that might show up in a modern herbal. Call it Cleavers, Jupiter's Nut, Old Maid's Nightcap, Weasel Snout, Key of Heaven, Adonis, Bugbane, or Upright Virgin's Bower. Say that it's striated, herbaceous, pyramidal, has pendulous panicles. Use an extract, infusion, poultice, decoction, mouthwash, or gargle for obstinate skin eruptions, gout, earache, nausea, ringworm, languid indigestion, and flatulence. A caution, though it is a fine, cleansing, jovial plant, very fragrant when bruised, it converts the Rhenish wine to insanely exhilarating muscatel, stupefies fish, and if eaten by birds, will tinge their bones red. Sorry, I gotta find this other one here. There it is. Okay, so a little explanation on this one too. This time the text I use, so if I say the budget, the Amish newspaper, does anybody in the room know what I'm talking about? Okay, so there is this thing which is probably still in existence that's published out of Ohio, and it's actually an international newspaper for the Amish. Do you know?
Yeah, I do know the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, all right, we got a winner here. So the way that it's set up is they have individual correspondents who write a letter once a month or twice a month, something like that, and then they just publish it. Because everybody's related to everybody else, and some Amish family living down in Belize is related to another Amish family living in Kansas. And so anyways, that's what it consists of. This one, and remember, all the writers too would have probably a 6th or 8th grade education max, you know, and so there's, I don't know, it just loosens people up in their use of language, makes them a little, I don't know, lands more directly somehow. Anyways, oh yeah, and I gotta give, so it's sort of a trigger warning and it's sort of an apology. I use the R word in here. And there is a really good explanation where, because of the source material and the context, it's totally appropriate for me to use that. However, the explanation is pretty long. And so I just want to say, please forgive me for being inappropriate. You're gonna forgive me, right?
We got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we're on the same page about that. That's Okay, this is Uriah Byler's elegy for Palmer Layman. Palmer Layman has been gone for quite a few years, worked till his 70th birthday. Big, husky man, never shirked from any job, but the company's policy forbade anyone from working after being 70. Working as a security guard at a factory in Middlefield, his heart started to fail, and one cold winter day he walked out to get his mail. About 10 feet from the house, he fell over dead in a heart attack. His retarded daughter in the house assumed that her father spent the night with friends. Next day, the bread man found him, partly snowed under, his mail still clutched in his hand.
It's so tall.
Yeah, right. Very good. Okay, yep. All right, this is a poem I wrote for Joan on her retirement after 30 years of distinguished service at IU. I read this at her celebration party at the Spoon, and it got kind of interrupted toward the end by a server, and that was just so effing annoying for me, so I'm gonna reread it here. It's called Voice. The sexiest voice, according to Jonathan S. Baker's Poetry Speaks MC accolades, I imagine emanating from Minoan snake goddesses, delivering obscene oracles, unblinking. Your long wayward journey, San Francisco to Bloomington, was both a sacrifice and a gift, depending on who was dangling on the receiving end of it. You are the shrewd, hawk-eyed Wonder Woman who made it all happen with the Writers Guild at Bloomington, writing Indiana Arts Commission grant applications, using the sexiest of all voices to keep the Guild's business meetings rolling forward, to dramatize personal narratives from School and Suicide, and the Burroughs Out, to moan, whisper, and croon to Artet rhythms and crack stack, to hand the first Sunday prose torch to Molly, to rock the mic at Poetry Speaks, Vocal Lounge, Evansville, Indiana, and other such jumping tinsel joints across the Midwest. Yours is the voice that upholds GEI when that acronym was an understood given throughout all these rolling decades. Yours is also the voice invested with the power to say the F word and make it sound like a term of endearment. Also the voice emanating from Tony's backseat, asking us if we'd like a can of coffee on our long road to Evansville or Owensboro. The voice that resurrected for us the protest climate of the 1970s, that held quiet fire while denouncing recent legislative injustices, convincing me to believe that now is the optimal time for you to retire. But you shall not retire from my life, but remain instead the ironic whisper of cerulean blue, rippling throughout Orchat soundscapes, echoing throughout these upcoming sepia years. Thank you, Joan, for all your service to IU and to the Writers Guild. All right, next up is Wesley Penland.
Yeah. I'm last.
Okay, James.
Welcome, James.
Thank you, Chorus.
It's not me a guess as to who's after me. So I'll probably ask them to volunteer. And that this is the eve of Friday the 13th, I thought I'd just read a small poem that has to do with calendar dates and possibly bad luck. And the title is taken from a song. So it's called Bela Lugosi's Dead. Strange the date, August 16, 56, that Lugosi died. The same day, only 19 years later, that I and the woman who was to become my ex-wife married. The virgin bride's file past his tomb. The virgin bride's file past his tomb in the song by Bauhaus. And 2 years after that, August 16, 1977, the passing of Elvis Presley at Graceland brought lines of maidens again to reform. The bats have left the bell tower, Bauhaus sang, and in the same manner, Elvis the building. Well, for what it's worth, it says Wesley Penn.
Hi, officially, hi. I have two new poems that I wrote within the last week. I've started naming my poems the way they used to name pop punk songs back in like the 2000s, where it has nothing to do with it, but it does have something to do with it usually. Anyways, the title of this poem is called You Were a Ship and All I Could Do Was Wave, but you won't port till Sunday and I'm still chasing waterfalls. I never believed in second chances, take words for what their stance is, stanzas falling out, snap a second glance in. Don't lose your pants, kid, tripping over your tongue with rhymes so slanted. Time is a stamp sometimes worth planting. You're guaranteed to sometimes take it for granted, but sometimes you fucking land it. Fool me once and I'll swallow you down. Pull me twice and it's a buy one, get one. Tickets are free, where you want to be found. And this heart of mine knows a little something something about hitting the ground. I thought the stars aligned, but that has happened too many times now. We needed something new, but we only had what we kind of knew. And from the straw I drew, I know you got the shortest too. So I'll take a hike and get lost. But I'd rather be in the pines with you than have a heart pining for you. Try to convince myself distance will be fine. I'll get back in line, but it won't do because I can't deny. We can't define what's yours and mine. So what do you say to a second time? I'll take your palm and memorize your love lines, paint them on billboard signs, keep reading and them until the strings are taut. Lessons of life learned and kind taught. Love is defined by how many toothbrushes cup bound aren't mine. And we filled up the cavities. We rotted from the first time around. Shed the emotional baggage weighing us down. Toe to toe, pound for pound, full tilt, no mute this time, full sound. Lights are on in this second round. And I like seeing you. It's a stunning sight. Your face is softer than I remember, and we fought so long to be square, hard, that softness was seen as surrender. And now that we caved in with hinder, we can take this path slow and tender and render out something worth taking a second chance on. And this one's political. It is called Duck, Duck, Goose. There's no dancing in the town of Footloose, but we feel the beating heat. I want to watch the world burn. I've had my turn of it, And maybe if the taste of freedom was on the tip of everyone else's tongue for as long as it's been on minorities, we wouldn't have to line the streets, wouldn't have to march to different beats. Aversion wouldn't blind what we see, a version of an America I can't unsee. Bagged and gagged grocers just trying to make ends meet. Children ripped from their seats. Peace stopped, shot with rubber heat. Troops we pay for, with arsenal pointed, lined feet to feet. Disappeared, pumped with fear, blood smeared. Atrocities brought to a city near you to show they fear you, or rather us, because you don't want nothing to do with it. You think it doesn't concern you. Newsflash. Concern is defined by what you relate to, and if you can't relate to humanity, then what are you? How much of your soul has been sold to absolve yourself whole? And if you hate to, then sorry to break it down for you, but unless you got the money, honey, you'll keep fighting your dis-ease. The aberrant force is justified against aberration, and there is nothing normal about this killing time. Time bomb tick, tick, ticking, till our clocks go back to analog, putting hands on numbers, tick, tick, ticking, out of time, your watch is loose. Sitting duck, cooked goose, a prize stuffed with immigrant labor and black lives. Looks like the rope meant to pull you up is now a noose, not a truce. Oops, tag, now you're it. That's the end. Oh, were you not on the list?
It's way down at the bottom.
Oh.
Space, right?
Okay, there's an antidote, a lot of space here. Everybody welcome Joan Hawkins.
Hello and good night. So I have a couple of caveats. I have a trigger warning. This piece is a true piece. It's a memoir story, and it does describe a hate crime that took place in Santa Cruz in the late 1970s. Like Eric, I'm using a slur, a homophobic slur, and it is entirely, unfortunately, appropriate to the person who used it at the time. And then the last little thing is that in this piece, I refer to a series by David Wojnarowicz, the artist, called the Rambo series. And he had a friend of his wear a mask of the face of the young poet, the 16-year-old Arthur Rimbaud, and took photographs of him in different places around New York in all these different kinds of scenarios. So this is from the Rimbaud series. Okay, so this is called Searching for Punk Rimbaud. In the pre-Google dial-up days, when online searches took forever, spewing up every possible permutation of your search term until finally, on hit 33, screen 4, something relevant would emerge, and then on screen 10, something else. I was researching the French poet Arthur Rimbaud's influence on the punk new wave art scene. The search term I used was punk no wave Rimbaud. Pouring cup after thermos cup of espresso, listening to the Sunday radiator weird sound of my school office, I scrolled. Much of it I expected. Pictures of David Wojnarowicz's Rimbaud series, poems by Patti Smith. But the gem my search engine finally coughed up on screen 32 was totally unexpected. A new translation of Rimbaud's poetry done by one Dennis C., theater critic, LA. I knew Dennis from old Bay Area community theater days. Didn't know he knew French or cared about Rimbaud, just that back in the day he was an enfant terrible director who'd written a punk passion play called Tuna Crust. Cast a gay black man to portray Jesus, Jimmy. Playing tubular bells to get us into the mood and leading us in Bacchic dances that he thought spoke to Christianity like nothing else, Dennis rehearsed the play for weeks. Torture and mayhem, night after night, broken only by one passionate, semi-nude sex scene. Jesus, Peter, and Mary Magdalene getting it on just outside the Garden of Gethsemane, just before the crucial Last Supper betrayal. meant to be provocative. Opening night, the tiny storefront theater was packed. Everyone was sitting on folding chairs on the floor, a huge rough-hewn cross, and in the first act, a long table, the only stage decor. Jimmy was a magnificent Jesus. Dennis had rubbed him with an oil that crooked preachers use for effect to make it appear they had the stigmata, so that when Jimmy sweated, it looked like he was pouring blood. 4 curtain calls, roses thrown on the stage, and all their Dennis hoisted on someone's shoulders. Cast party drinking and dancing until 1 a.m. I kissed Jimmy goodbye when the party moved to a bar, and my husband Skip and I went home to relieve a sleepy babysitter. At 4, we got a call from the hospital. Vicky's sobbing so hard. Ooh, I barely understood her. Skip pulling on his pants as I tried to parse it out, recognizing the SOS nature of it all from the hour and from the bass tremolo in my voice. Jimmy had been pummeled to death in some behind club alley. The guy who beat him said the play with its black faggot Jesus was sacrilege. Killed Jimmy to make the point. The play closed the next day to newspaper headlines hawking irony and scandal. The next few weeks and months were awful. We hugged and kissed when we met in out-of-the-way places and avoided talking about the night theatrical provocation turned ugly. Not just some artistic feint, but a real-life crucifixion of a real-life performance art, sacrilegious political art. Began performing Taylor Theater. Then, as so often happens, we drifted. The theater broke up and we got on with our lives, but most of us carried a scar. I ordered Dennis's book and read between the lines for a hint of that night. Some, not my fault, but still, regret. A sign that, like the rest of us, he had been changed. Nothing. Just an avant crude translation of Rimbaud, the original Enfant Terrible, and an old theater photo I only half recognized. The original was a 2-shot publicity pic of Dennis and Jimmy, the true punk Rimbaud, taken in the lobby of the theater. Skip had shot it one night during rehearsal on a Soviet-made Colmar that had a notable slight lensed distortion, suitable for avant-garde promos only. In the book, the photo was cropped to a one-shot, a close-up of Dennis with Jimmy photoshopped out of the frame, and the book's title, taken from Rimbaud, A Season in Hell.
Say that, what's that?
Did you need to make some announcements at the end?
Are you all, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of our open micers this evening. Thank you all for being here. And thanks to our fantastic features, Mindi Romani, our musical guest Kyle Quass and Julian Douglas, and our great spoken word piece and performance by Brian Price. The LAST COYOTE himself, Brian Price. Thanks so much. So I'm hitting you with the ad here at the end. Here at the end of the telethon, I'm hitting you up.
We need the music again.
What's it?
We need the ad music again.
The ad music, that's right, yeah. Hey, order now. So here's some QR codes if you're interested in donating to the Writers Guild this evening, tomorrow, next week, anytime you want to give to the Writers Guild of Bloomington. Is a fantastic time to give to the Writers Guild of Bloomington. We're probably losing some funding, like a lot of arts organizations. The Indiana Arts Commission has delayed announcing a grant that we get, that we rely on in order to put on events like this throughout the year. And so that's, they've delayed it, but they're probably just not gonna do it. I have a pretty good feeling, because the Indiana Arts Commission is not sure if their funding is gonna come through from the feds, which is how it works. That's how it trickles down. It starts with the feds, it comes to the state, it comes to the city, it comes to us, and it comes to you. So this is why people protest. This is why people are here. this is why people are here, is because you like this sort of programming, you like to participate in it, and this is why people are girded by the arts, is because, not just because you have something to say about what's happening out on the streets, although you do and you should say it, but because of things that you love and things that you enjoy and things that you admire, that you get a chance to come here and talk about or hear about or speak, whether it's music, whether it's poetry, whether it's art on the walls, whether it's fiber art, whether it's puppetry, whatever you like. Whatever you're into, there's a place for you in the arts, and the arts will always make a place for you. Consider making a place. Consider making a place for the arts tonight. So no, it's seriously. At any point, we like doing this stuff, and we're going to keep doing this stuff. And we'd love to have your support. That's it. That's the ad. Thank you all for being here. Hope to see you tomorrow at Kyle's next thing of 1,000 things he's doing. Your next residency, which is at the Pillar Arts Flex Space over across from Hot Topic. Yeah, that's the one. Hope to see you Saturday night with Animals and Giraffes and Ortet and Kyle Quass. Hope to see you there Saturday. Hope to see you Saturday at noon at No Kings. Over here on the square. I'd love to see you out there for that. And just hope to see you in general. Thank you all for coming out this evening, and have a good night.